When the Rebbe would daven Shachris in the weekdays with a minyan with Talis and Tefilin, there was something interesting that we saw. Most of the years, he only davened Shachris with the minyan in the weekdays a few times a year. Besides Tov Chav Hey, when he davened every day for Amid because he was an oval. It's only after the Rebbe passed away, so he davened for a whole year for the Amid, and then he continued davening Shachris every day with the minyan. But when he davened with the minyan Shachris, with Talis and Tefilin, there was something interesting that we saw that he did. That from time to time, mainly before Krishma or before Shemon Esrei, the Rebbe would take with his hand, with his fingers, the top of his Talis, and pull it up to make sure that it covers part of the Tefillin. It would cover the Mabarte and the Titure, which are the part of the Tefillin that sticks out from the bayis towards the head. He would make sure that that's covered with his Talis. We didn't really understand why he did that, to make sure that part of the Tefillin is covered with his Talis. Till in Tovshin Lamed Aleph was printed Lekutei Levi Yitzchok on Zayar, the Rebbe's father's sefer on the Zayar. And there we saw that in the Zayar, Parshas Kadeshim, Daf Pei Aleph Amud Aleph, there is the Ha'ara of his father explaining what the Zayar says. The Lashon of the Zayar there is, Kad banash anach tefillin v'yischafi b'kisu de mitzvah. That when a person puts on tefillin and covers it with the covering of the mitzvah. Now the covering of the mitzvah, that's the Talis. And the strange part of that Zayar is that here it seems that first you put on tefillin and then you put on the Talis, because it says first you put on the tefillin and you cover it with the kisu of the mitzvah, with the kisu, the cover of the mitzvah, which is the Talis. The Zayar himself says in a different place that Talis comes first. So what does the Zayar mean here? Especially that the Zayar itself, in Parshas Bamidbar, in a different place, says that Talis comes before Tefillin. So what does the Zayar mean? First mentioning the Tefillin, and then the cover of the mitzvah, which is the Talis. So the Rebbe's father, in his Hagos, in Zahara, writes, Ayin, look into the Hagos of Reb Chaim Vital Netzutza Eiris. There it says that the Zayar meant lav dafke. It's not meduyik, it's not exactly, but it doesn't mean that the Talis comes after the Tefillin. It just mentions it that way, not dafke. But the Rebbe's father has a different shot. He says what it doesn't mean when you put on the Talis, but it goes on putting the Talis on the Tefillin after the Tefillin is on. Which means first you put on the Talis, then you put on the Tefillin, and then you cover with the Tefillin, with the Talis you cover the Tefillin. And he quotes, that's what it says in Mishnas Chassidim. And the Rebbe, in different Fabrengens throughout the years, spoke about this Ha'ora of this father on the Zayar, as it's collected in the Sefer Teiras Menachem Teferes Levi Yitzchok on Chumash Vayikra, page Kuf Pei Ches. So when we saw what the Levi Yitzchok writes, that after you have the Talis and then you have the Tefillin, you should cover the Tefillin with the Talis, we understood why the Rebbe would do it. That before Krishma or before Shemon Esrei, not always the same time, he would make sure that at least part of the Tefillin is covered with the Talis. Because his father writes clearly that this is the Pshat in the Zayar, based on the Mishnas Chassidim, that after you put on the Tefillin, which comes after the Talis, you should take the Talis and have covered the Tefillin, so the Rebbe would cover part of the Tefillin with the Talis before Krishma, for Shemon Esrei, or other times during davening.